May 1845. The British Empire stood at the height of its power, driven by confidence and unchallenged ambition. In the industrial heart of London and the roaring shipyards of the north, progress was reshaping the world. Yet one mystery remained unsolved on the maps: the Northwest Passage, a hidden sea route, believed to be the key to faster access to the riches of the East. It was seen as the final prize of exploration, the last great conquest of the age. To claim it, the Royal Navy prepared an expedition unlike any before. Two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, were chosen for the journey. These were not ordinary wooden vessels. Their hulls were reinforced with iron, built to resist the crushing force of Arctic ice. Inside, they carried steam engines adapted from locomotives, along with heating systems designed to fight the deadly cold. They were engineered to survive in a world where survival itself was uncertain. Leading the mission was Sir John Franklin, a seasoned explorer nearing the end of his career. At 59, he saw this voyage as his final achievement. Under his command were 128 carefully selected officers and crew, chosen for their discipline and endurance. The ships carried supplies meant to last 3 years. Thousands of preserved food cans, large reserves of coal, and even libraries filled with books. Despite the harsh destination, they brought fine silverware and porcelain, determined to maintain order and dignity in the most hostile environment on Earth. On May 19th, the ships departed from Greenhithe. Crowds gathered along the shore, cheering as the expedition began its journey. Families waved, unaware that this would be their final farewell. Confidence filled the air. The mission was seen as unstoppable, its success almost guaranteed. By July, the ships were seen for the last time in Baffin Bay by a passing whaling vessel. The crew appeared calm and optimistic. Nothing seemed out of place. Soon after, they disappeared into the Arctic, vanishing into a vast landscape of ice and silence. From that moment on, no confirmed sighting would ever follow. The Arctic was not a place that could be controlled. It was a slow, unforgiving environment. Beneath the silence, danger was already growing. The preserved food, meant to sustain them, carried hidden contamination. Their bodies weakened over time. The ships, strong against impact, could not escape the steady pressure of the ice. During the first winter at Beechey Island, 3 crew members died. Their graves marked the beginning of a decline that no one had expected. What started as a mission of confidence and control was turning into something else entirely. The expedition had entered a place where planning meant little, and survival was no longer guaranteed. The silence of the Arctic. It was not emptiness. It was a threat. April 22, 1848. For 3 long years, 2 ships had been trapped in ice. Erebus and Terror were no longer vessels of exploration. They had become 2 massive, dying tombs. Captain Sir John Franklin was dead. For Fitzjames and Crozier, who had taken command, one truth remained: to stay was to die. 129 men made the hardest decision of their lives. They would abandon the ships. But this was not an escape. It was the beginning of a march. Among the snow, a small pile of stones, ordinary from the outside, but inside, it held one of the darkest notes in history: the Victory Point record, a fragile piece of paper, sealed in metal, written by a trembling hand. Ships abandoned. This was not just information. It was a death sentence. Ahead of them lay nearly 1,000 miles of frozen wilderness. But the truth was, most of them were already lost before the journey even began. When they set out, they did not carry only what they needed to survive: silver cutlery, books, even pieces of furniture. Even in the heart of the Arctic, they tried to remain English gentlemen. But the Arctic does not recognize rank or pride. Every extra weight, every unnecessary object, slowed them down. And in that world, slowness meant death. But the real danger was invisible. Cold hunger, exhaustion, these were only the beginning. The true enemy was already inside them. Lead, leaking from poorly sealed food cans, was poisoning them from within. This toxin did not just weaken their bodies, it shattered their minds. Thoughts blurred, reality fractured, hallucinations began. Fear, paranoia, madness. In the endless white void, they lost themselves. That spring, Inuit hunters saw something moving on the horizon. But these were no longer men. They were walking nightmares. Sunken faces, blackened lips, bodies reduced to bone and skin. They dragged themselves forward. Hunger had pushed them beyond the limits of humanity. Years later, archaeological findings revealed the truth. Cut marks on the bones confirmed the unthinkable. To survive, they had turned on each other. But even that was not enough. In the end, nothing worked. Not discipline, not knowledge, not hope. All of it was swallowed by the silence of the Arctic. For 170 years, this story remained a mystery until the ocean gave up its secret. In 2014 and 2016, the ships were found. The stories passed down by the Inuit were true. Erebus and Terror rested beneath the sea, as if they had been abandoned only yesterday. But of the 129 men who walked away from those ships, nothing remained. No graves, no traces, only bones lost beneath the ice, and silent screams carried by the Arctic wind. The Arctic was no longer a place. It was a graveyard. 129 men left the ships. Erebus and Terror were behind them. They believed they still had a chance. They were wrong. At first, there was still order. They walked together. They pulled the sleds. They followed commands. But the Arctic changes everything. The cold grew stronger. The food ran out. Then something else began to disappear. Hope. No one said it out loud, but everyone understood. Some bodies were not left behind. The first cut was desperation. The second was survival. After that, it was no longer a choice. Years later, the bones told the truth. Cut marks, broken edges. These men had turned on each other, but it did not save them. The body can endure. The mind cannot. Some men stopped speaking. Some stopped reacting. Some stared into nothing. Some were already gone. Before they died, the group began to break apart. No more crew. No more command. Only individuals. Hungry. Sick. Lost. Direction no longer mattered. North. South. Everything looked the same. White. Endless. Empty. In the final days, they were not walking. They were falling. One by one. When a man stopped, no one helped him. Because everyone knew. To stop was death. Some sat down and never stood again. Some collapsed while walking. Some disappeared into the snow. The Arctic took them all. Silently. One by one. Years later, others came looking. They searched for answers. They found remains. Bones. Broken tools. Traces of a failed journey. The Inuit had already seen them. A line of men moving south. Weak. Sick. Barely human. And then, they vanished. Science later explained the causes. Lead poisoning. Scurvy. Starvation. But the truth is simple. Man cannot defeat nature. The Franklin expedition was not a victory. It was a warning. Even today, the ships are still there. Silent. Frozen. Waiting. And the 129 men, they are no longer just names. They are a boundary. Because one question remains. How far can a human go to survive?